after watching Atom, how can a man can make a movie like Atom? So I just go to the credit and check it, written by a one or not.
I don't think there is an ecosystem out there which is making every Malayali or every Malayalam cinema, I don't think. I really don't think. I think it is just coming down to just individuals.
Hello and welcome to the Indian Express. A few months ago, we at Indian Express conducted a panel discussion on the state of Bangla cinema, one of the greatest cinema cultures of India. And that was a heartbreaking panel discussion because there we talked about the dismal state of affairs in Bangla cinema and how it has fallen from its pinnacle. But now we are today here to discuss another great cinematic culture of India, which is the Malayalam cinema culture. And we have got some really important names from that industry, and we are really proud to have them here at Indian Express. And today, this panel discussion would be much more celebratory because today we are here to discuss the rise of Malayalam cinema. I have with me my colleague Anandu, who covers Malayalam cinema for the Indian Express. Um, I have with me Jeo Baby, who has made some really important Malayalam films of recent times, including The Great Indian Kitchen and also my personal favorite, Kaathal the Core. And then, of course, we have Anand. We have sorry, cut here. Just like I have to like sorry. I'll just look. I want to be sure about your. Yeah. Sorry, we'll continue with this. We have Anand Ekarshi, who made Aatam, which is earning rave reviews across India. Then we have got Shruthi Sharanyam, who is a filmmaker who made B32 Muttal 44 Ware. I'm so sorry if this didn't come out right, but yeah.
Shruti made the film B32 to 44. That's
Okay,
the meaning of.
okay, cool. And we have film critic Neelima Menon too. Thank you for joining us for this discussion, everybody. My first question to all of the filmmakers and all of you would be to, as a pan-Indian film audience, we have, thanks to streaming and OTT, we have discovered Malayalam cinema and we are celebrating it across India, starting from small film clubs in Bengal to you will see even in north of India, you will see a lot of people who actually know your names, are fans of Fahad Fasil. So how does it feel to have such wide recognition of your cinema? We can start off with Geo Baby or anyone who wants to take the first question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I'm very much happy about that. And uh, actually, Great Indian Kitchen was for me. Great Indian Kitchen was made at that kind of discussion on pan Indian wise because the reason is the movie came through OTT platform, but we struggled a lot for getting a release for the Great Indian Kitchen. Finally, it came through an local a kind of local OTT platform. That's only for actually for Malayalam content only, niche stream. Then then we got a very huge reception from the audience, especially women. So that's why a kind of pan Indian reception we got it. So that is very happiness for the whole group. And uh, actually, it's all because of the audience too. Everything was changing. It's happening through the audience and a kind of lot of social movements, progressive social movements due to a lot of other activities like feminism and queer politics. So uh, all all these getting together, all these because of not only because of the cinema. So right now, Malayalam cinema, a kind of reverse conditioning happening through our cinema. A few years back, we are creating a lot of issues through our own cinema. Right now, we are in reverse conditioning. So so I'm proud about my friends. Also, the Anand is here, Shruthi is here. Both films is my favorite. And Aatam. After watching Aatam, how can a man can make a movie like Aatam? So I just go to the credit and check it, written by M1 or not. So uh, that's why I told a kind of reverse conditioning happening through our cinemas. It's happening in every almost every Indian movies. They are even in the commercial cinema. They are also aware about this. This is politically wrong. This is not correct, and our audience will questioning about this. Even it's in a superstar cinema, they will ask questions to them. Why this is a fault, and they are saying apologies for that. So all these change happen not only because of the not only because of creators. It's audience is a part of that, and a lot of other moments is a part of this.
So I want to ask one thing. I want to take a memory back to this one thing that our industry, till a few years back or even now, is called Pettikada Wood. And you guys know this, I guess. And Pettikada, oh, Suruchechi doesn't know this. Yeah, so our industry is called Pettikada Wood. And for the audience who don't know what Pettikada is a Malayalam word used to refer to the roadside shops, which are made of wood, wherein you get stationary items that aren't very costly, starting from like soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, etc., to like cigarettes, pan, and all. So it was kind of a derogatory term used to refer to Mollywood to say that we can't think of stuff that are bigger than like say realistic films or the Prakriti films that they call these days. But then we made a film like Manjummel Boys and we made a film like Aadijeevitham, which did business and is still doing business on par with almost all Indian releases so far. So my question here is that while at the same time there is this mocking against us that we can't do such spectacles, we also did films that did so well in terms of business as well, but which also had a kind of root. So is that kind more like a particular wood a derogatory term, or is it more of a see you have to understand your roots and make films like that and don't aim for spectacles like this pan India culture and all? I'll start with you, Neelima, because you have been observing cinema for a long time. Is it kind of like limiting us, or is it a good thing that we are being like chained to our roots?
I was not aware of this particular term. So, because I think what makes Malayalam is unique is that we have this. I think we make these small, realistic films that are very rooted to our culture. So I don't really think that we should anyway aim, a certain kind of cinema, or because we should aim for like big scale films just because that is working in other industries. So even Manjummel Boys, I think the reason why it probably connected to a large audience is also because of its rootedness. So also, if you look at Manjummel Boys, it had a very good opening in Tamil Nadu because it has a very universal theme also. It connected mostly to the Tamilians also. So I think what Malayalam cinema is, I think we should not change it. I think we should not get overwhelmed by, because, other industries are aiming for bigger scale films or anything. I think we should just stick to what we are doing best, which is like, making good content, not underestimating the audience, and going for really rooted stuff that kind of connects to our audience. Then it goes pan Indian. Nobody is making a film to sort of make it pan Indian. It just connects to a larger audience. That's all.
Anyone wishes to add to that or any different opinion?
Maybe
I
Shruti?
I completely agree with whatever Jeo Chetan and Nilima said. like, I'm super proud of the current trend that we've been seeing, because I've had a meeting with one of those, what do you call, senior heads of one of those famous OTT platforms recently, a couple of months back. And whatever feedback I got from him about Malayalam films was really pathetic. Like, he said there are no audiences for Malayalam films. Okay. And he was talking in terms of analytics and statistics. Okay. So then he said, your audience is very small, and we are kind of, cold feet when it comes to originals that should be made in Malayalam, and all these things he said. So I think we have given the right answer, for that kind of an inhibition he had. And the current trend is so positive, and I'm super uh, proud of it. And whatever Neelima said is completely, absolutely right. We should stick on to our own roots, and whatever we've been doing, we should stick on to that, because we really don't want to get into mindless content and whatever other industries have been doing. I think this reverse conditioning has been happening all over the world, not just in Kerala. I think all over India. On a pan-Indian scale, this reverse conditioning has been happening, and people are more keen on watching, content-driven, films, films that have been made in regional languages like Malayalam. So I think we should stick on to whatever we've been doing. Uh, we shouldn't get into anything mindless. I also believe in that.
Yeah. So I just want to ask one thing, Anand, this directly to you. So, being an outsider was just made his debut, and there are like a lot of film aspirants right now, and every industry has a story of nepotism. And if we look ours, we also have like just had a release and has like two more, which are all headlined by products of nepotism or nepo babies. Though these aren't films that are just celebrating their stardom. So that way we are kind of like different from other industries in terms of like celebrating nepotism when we go behind like films that actually like resonate with the audience. For an outsider who just made his debut, is it easy? I'm not asking this question directly because of the case of DC backing. For you, like to find an independent producer and to make his way into the film industry, was that like very difficult in current scenario, or is Malayalam cinema like approachable for anyone?
Yeah, I personally think Shruti had her fair share of struggle,
Yeah,
even with
definitely. Yeah.
like I don't think it was easy for Shruti.
Correct.
I don't know, from whatever I've spoken to her, the kind of journey that she had to go through is uh, humongously big. So personally, if you ask me, I had no struggle. And I don't know, maybe that. See, I don't think in terms of stuff that are not in my control. So always my thought, I never thought myself as an insider or outsider. Even now, I don't believe that I'm an insider, and I don't want to be an insider in the first place. The more I stay an outsider, I guess I'll be able to write or say good stories. But mm, in I think like everybody, like in terms of cinema, see if there is a producer out there, and if there is a the actor out there, everybody is actually looking for some good stories, compelling stories. So the whole effort is to work on your own skill, on your own craft, on your own understanding of cinema, and basically to reach out with a compelling story. I think so. That cuts the. Uh, of course, there will be like, see, if I were making Aatam with a star in the first place, like if some big star was to play, or major Mollywood actors were to play all those roles in Aatam, it would definitely be a difficult journey. Like, because you are a debutant, it would be difficult for any debutant, because to have the trust in people and all, to get the kind of trust from people to a debutant director it's not easy. I think it will be difficult everywhere. Uh, Otherwise, I don't think. See, personally for Artem, I knew that it will be very difficult to get a producer for a subject like this with so many new people, and with a moderately serious subject like this, being also it being a chamber drama. So what I did was I shot a pilot, a 12 minute scene with the with the funding of my friends, and then when I met the producer, I showed him this pilot. It was shot like a movie. So I think there are ways to
Scene
maneuver
was
your
that? Which scene was that, Anand?
the first discussion scene where it is revealed that this sort of a crime has happened. So the first discussion scene where every actor is there. So that pilot scene was, otherwise he would never understand whether these
Yeah.
actors would know how to act or whether I would know how to direct. So he got a glimpse of what the movie is. So that was my way of making my route easy. So I think also casting Vinay Fort, who was a friend, or not going for major actors. So and making the movie in a very small budget. So I think there are ways to maneuver. But if I was aiming for something very big for my first movie, obviously it will be difficult. But I don't think there is a structural, inherent, uh, forceful, intended difficulty out there. But there could be also, which I am not aware of, probably.
Yeah. And Shruti, you have said that if not for case of DC to, like, if it wasn't there to back your film, like B 32 മുതൽ 44 വരെ would have been something different. You wouldn't have been able to make it that way. So is it, again, as a woman, like, is it easy for, like, women? Is it easy to, like, crack their way into the show business or make their movie if there is no a government backing? Is it possible for a filmmaker?
I would like to make a correction. I think had it been, I wouldn't say KSFDC, I would say government. Okay, Kerala government.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I want to make it very clear because Kerala government has this ideal project in front of them, like, women cinema. Okay, only because of that platform, I could make this film. Okay. I could make this happen only because this platform existed, this women cinema project. But this was handled by KSFTC. So there I had to fight bureaucracy. Okay. Of course, bureaucracy is different from, government structure. Like, whatever government envisioned, it is different from bureaucracy. You know that, right? As in, they are just government employees and they're just doing their jobs. Nothing else, nothing other than that. Like, for them, it's not a dream. Okay. For me, it was a dream. Making this film happen was a dream for me. But for them, it was just a job. So, and also, like, they had no intention of making profit. Okay. First of all, government never intended to make profit out of this project. It was just a, flagship project of the government, to bring more women to the mainstream filmmaking. Okay. I completely understand that part. But then KSFDC, being a public sector enterprise, could have dreamed of making some profit out of it or making it to another level. Okay. Making this project into another level. But I think because of the bureaucracy and because of the delay that normally happens in all the government projects, that never happened. Okay. I also faced a lot of issues when it comes to the release of my film, when it comes to the distribution of my film. So I believe my film, it demanded more than, like, it, of course, it deserved more audience and it deserved more accolades, from all over the world, at least from all over India. But has it reached to that point? I believe it hasn't. That's only because of the bureaucracy. Like, so that was one limitation I had. In terms of the content, I had absolute freedom since it was government, and they never put any sort of, what do you call, I never had a difficulty in terms of the content. Like, had it been what do you call, a private producer, definitely the content would have changed. Content would be something else, I'm sure. But then, since this is government, they never had any restrictions in terms of the content. Actually, they didn't even know what I was making, because I was chosen. My script was chosen by a group of filmmakers appointed by KSFDC. Okay, so KSFDC was not involved in the selection process, directly. So they had no idea what I was working with. Okay, so that was one thing. So that gave me sort of a freedom in terms of content. However, they could have done a little more in terms of distribution and marketing. I feel that. And it's because of the bureaucracy and the delay that happens normally in all the government projects. Because for them, it's just a job. For us, it's a dream.
Yeah.
So just maybe a small one-liner to add to it. I think all the filmmakers over here would agree that for a smaller film, the bigger challenge is not to find a producer or to make the film happen. The biggest challenge is the distribution part of the
Hmm.
film. That is the biggest challenge for smaller films. Like you will eventually get one producer or the other. You'll get your actors. You'll eventually do your film, but to get it to the theaters, to have the support of the theaters, or like for Shruti, like how the bureaucracy was handling it with a lot of laziness, or without any intent, or without the conviction of that she had. So that is where the challenge is. For Aatam, we had a challenge with the theaters, like
Yeah.
where it was doing well, and suddenly a big film comes, and from 7 shows a day to we go to 1 show a day. So these kind of things are the real challenges.
Like from there, I would just like to ask one more thing. Now, even the OTT platforms are like kind of like changing their strategy, as Shruti mentioned. Like recently, Prime announced almost like 40 originals, and then Netflix also announced like 20 plus. They're looking at mostly like their original content than buying like films that have in the post theatrical release stage. So in that case, is it becoming harder for like such smaller films to find a platform for them? Like it's an extension of like how you said, like it's harder to find distributors and for your films to reach the theaters. At a time when there was a like a window kind of a thing, it was a ray of hope that OTTs, okay, our films would be saved by the OTTs. But now that they are also becoming choosy, is it becoming harder for like small films or smaller films to find a platform?
True.
Any?
I believe in that. Yeah. I had a recently I had approached a couple of OTT platforms to pitch my film as original, original content. However, they were all cold shoulder, like saying, it's not possible for us to, take it up as original content. And they all demanded, relevant theatrical run for the film. Okay. So for people like us who are concentrating on, small content, I won't say small content. I would say, they are not mass entertainers. Okay. Like where people would just flock to the theaters and, they would just watch the film and what do you call, celebrate it. It's not like that. I mean, they are mindful content. Yeah, of course, Aatam is also mindful. And I believe our content like ours has more audience on OTT platforms than on, theaters, than in theaters.
Yeah. Anand, anything?
Uh, yeah, I think it is going to be very difficult. Like because since everybody is looking for business, like
Yeah.
OTT platforms, like it's a corporate space, and there is every inch of cinema is involved with money. So and also there is this they say that you should never underestimate audience. And also, I think you should be mindful of the fact that you should not also overestimate the audience. See, it's at the end of the day, it's all for them. It's all analytics, and it's all about how many people are watching, how many people, where is the money coming in, where is the subscriptions coming in, where are the ads running, what is the viewing time. So all these things, and right now, OTT, there are so many movies out there in Malayalam right now which have had its theater release and yet have not been able to make it to the
Yeah.
OTT. So that is a reality. So now they are clearly looking, from whatever I've heard, their contracts with most of the actors have come to an end, and so they're clearly looking for films which have had a fair share of great run in theaters, and only then they're looking to buy them, or purchase. So the reality is, it is difficult. So you basically, now we've been cornered to a space. I'll not use the word cornered. We just have a choice where we have to make a film which is successful in theaters, which is so that is the zone we are in now. It is difficult in terms of OTT. Yeah.
And Neelima, how do you think is like the major OTT platforms? Like if you check like a platform like Netflix, their collection of like good Malayalam films is very like we know how the quality is. But wherein like a smaller platform has like more better Malayalam content, but they don't have enough subscribers to like keep be a part of the major game. So how do you think even the bigger platforms are like working these days? Is it like, are they also like going behind the trend of like, okay, this one has a superstar or this had this, and so we'll go after that? Or the probability of this becoming emerging as a hit once released in theater? How do you think are the OTT platforms functioning?
I think they are just eyeing the in economics now. I think they are only going for, from what I heard, they're going for the superstar, major films that have sort of had its fair, run at the box office, and then kind of picking it. But I also heard that Manjummel Boys is not getting any platform also, which is also surprising. So currently, I feel the OTT space is kind of slightly dull, especially when it comes to the taking the regional content. Is what I heard.
And Anandu, can I add a point to that?
Sure.
Anandu, it's not just the situation of Malayalam films or any regional language films. It is the situation with all the films, including Hindi.
Okay.
From what I heard from a few, experts, they were mentioning about some 60 or 65 films that are that are not sold on any OTT platforms, and they're waiting for theatrical release, and their producers are not willing to release it in theaters because they're not sure about the collection. So it's not just with Malayalam films, even with Hindi films, this is the scenario. Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, and I would just like taking from your point and zoom out, and talk about the pan India scene, in the sense like the impression is, when it comes to Malayalam cinema, in the pan Indian collective consciousness, is that Malayalam cinema is very vogue, and therefore, and also your society seems to be like not self-critical, self-aware, as opposed to making films which are probably self-critical and stuff, which is not the case in, as you know, in many parts of India. So and I understand that it probably comes from, as social observers and filmmakers, if you could tell us who are at the outside, what is that ecosystem which kind of nurtures, or is there an ecosystem at all, or is it just something that is our perception that makes Malayalam cinema's content so content much more self-critical, self-aware, for the lack of better term, more woke than what you can see in the other parts of the country, especially when at this time of clamping down on creative expressions.
Anand, would you like to answer?
Uh, I don't know. Like, I don't think there is an ecosystem out there which is making every Malayali or every Malayalam cinema. I don't think. I really don't think. I think it's just coming down to just individuals. We are making our own
Yeah,
crap.
because
We have a fair share of crap that we make. So, yeah. Please go on. Yeah, you were
I'm sorry,
next.
a few years ago, there was this whole Amma case about sexual harassment too, right, in the industry and stuff. So it's not as if it's not without its own failings. It's just that, it seems to be everything coming together in some respect, which kind of is creating that impression. Is that what is happening?
I think I like there are good movies happening like in regular intervals. I think that is also creating this sort of a perception or impression. Um, I don't personally. I don't buy to the this thing that Malayalam cinema is something special and they're doing exceptionally great in terms of. I really don't buy into it so much. And I believe there is no ecosystem. Or there are certain factors like there could be some sensible actors who are looking for some sensible scripts. For example, I'm sure like Gio would agree that Kadal would have never got this space if it was not for the sensibilities of Mammootty, who just knew to pick how to pick the
And,
script
and I
and
remember Mammootty was criticized for really sexist films a few years back, right? I mean, a few years back. So, therefore, there's a definite turnaround when it comes to even superstars like Mammootty and Mohanlal, when it comes to
yeah.
India. So, there must have been like something happening, or is it because you look more
Yeah,
aware?
that always happens with everybody who are continuously evolving, right? So there's a lot of intelligence amongst actors of they're quite globally aware. They're quite aware of so many things that which will eventually have an impact on their choice of the scripts. So there is maybe those things are there. So it is a cumulative thing. I don't think it is just one single factor. Like it is also the audience who are not like who made Kadal a big hit. Like they went to the theaters, and it's multiple factors. If it was not for Mammootty, I don't know whether Kadal would have made this sort of money, or it would have become such a big hit. Of course, there is Geo, who's known for his films, but the factor of Mammootty was a big thing, and also the factor of educated audience wanting to watch this sort of a film. So they're not just wanting to go and watch a special. They're also interested about how Mammootty is going to do it, how Geo has written it, what does it. So there are so many things. So it's cumulative, I think.
Would you say it's evolved audience culture, and this is for everyone? Do you think it's a more evolved audience culture than I'm just curious. Anil,
I want to take
I have
just
okay.
pick on, yeah. I want
No,
to
no.
add to what Anand said about Kadal. I think along with the Mammootty factor, which I thought he gave a dignity to the representation and all. I think it is also the way Geo kind of because there was a criticism that why there is no physical intimacy in the film, because I think that is where Geo did the smartest thing, because
Yeah,
that is the reason why it appealed to a family audience. If
absolutely,
you went
absolutely.
all the way, it would have never appealed to the family audience. So that is
Right.
also the way he made it also, along with the Mammootty factor.
Yeah, I have a point to add to whatever Anand said. I believe there is an ecosystem in Kerala. Our 100% literacy rate and our position in Human Development Index, and also the social movements that our state has witnessed. All this, all these have added to our sensibilities, I believe, as a larger audience. So I think there is an ecosystem. What do you call a cultural fabric, a deep-rooted ecosystem that uh, you know that has driven us to watch content-oriented films and content-oriented stuff when it comes to like that has also driven us to do such films. Okay, as filmmakers to choose such content, and as actors to choose such themes. So I believe in that. Of course, there is an ecosystem, um, which is not very visible, but of course, there are, you know, undercurrents, which has driven us towards this sort of a sensibility.
Also, I want to add that, though, I think we should also remove this misconception that we are only producing great films. Like this
Yeah.
year, this April, if you count till April, we had some 60 releases.
Very
And, very few films are actually, because I think the only good ones are being, coming out and being spoken about. You get it. So I think we are similar, just like every industry, we have a share of bad films also.
Of
It's
course.
just that it is not reaching out
Yeah.
to the
Agreed.
audience. Yeah.
In fact, the number of films released in January 2024 is higher than that of like January 2023. 15 is to 17. Like this year, January 2024 witnessed 17 films. But the best part was that a good film, like a really good film, came out in the first week, which was Aatam. And then we had our first super hit also in January itself, unlike last year when it happened in February with Romancham. This year, January had Osler. So, like, something is happening just like that. So people are like occupied with that until the next big thing comes. We have something. That is why the other films are not getting. But yes, we have our like fair share of like crap, obviously. And just want to ask you guys one thing. I want everyone's opinion. I will start with you, Premankar, since you are the like outsider. What do you think is Malayalam cinema's biggest strength? Like, what do you see it as? Like, you said you're like recently started watching like Malayalam films very frequently. So, what do you think makes Malayalam cinema okay? This is good. It's not like other things that are out there. It's good. It has something.
I think the writing, I think more than anything else, the writing is exceptional as opposed to other cinema cultures that at least I'm familiar with. Of course, there are other, like even Assam is making really interesting films, but those are very far and like, spaced out. But I feel writing and also the fact that the texture is like the texture is so real of a Malayalam film. This unafraid of being like grounded and being real. So I think that makes it because there's honesty in its telling. I feel that kind of really shines through, which obviously makes it universal because I feel like a film like Aatam, which has such nuances when it comes to something as it's at the end of the day it's about sexual harassment at workplace, but it points and interestingly like this is in theater in Bengal as we speak there's this big revolution happening where people are talking about we need an something like ICC in sexual in theaters because recently there have been cases of harassment in the theater space. So like like these sort of this nuanced storytelling is comes from a place of realism and honesty. So I think that really shines through. That is that amongst any other or many other factors, but writing I feel totally shines.
Anyone else?
I think it's a sum total of everything. Than just to point on the writing, I think just also we are a little more. I think I don't know whether I mean I think we also we are slightly more brave when it comes to picking content also because we know that the audience there is an audience for that. Probably that also. Otherwise, I think largely it's everything put together is what Malayalam cinema is.
Anyone else has anything to add to that, Anand?
I still believe I'm on the very firm opinion that there is nothing special about outrageously special
But at
about
least the
Malayalam.
biggest strength, what is
I'll make you
no,
watch
no,
10 Bengali films and then you
no, no, no. I do watch all the films. So like there is it's also about times change where each culture, each background, and I don't think like a person in Kerala. See, I'm not just influenced by what the situation is in Kerala or the films of Kerala now, especially in this modern world where every filmmaker is watching content from watching cinema. Like for a filmmaker, watching cinema and art and every other thing, it's a global thing. So like where like there are so many nations that produce amazing films where their ecosystem is actually very challenging for them, where they're like where they'll not be able to make good films. So it's not always that you should have a very supportive system to make a good film. So you never know what is making a filmmaker. At the end of the day, a film is made by a filmmaker. So it is an individual who's making it. So it is how an individual is built. So it is not, I don't think it is specific to a region. Of course, it will have its own flavor to it, but it really depends on the journey of that particular person, and he can be from any place. Like how his own study has been in terms of the form, in terms of the art form. So, but yes, the thing of like say take Malayalam cinema or take Iranian cinema, say take Turkish, take Marathi, take Assamese. what is the common factor? The common factor is the challenge in terms of budget. So you can only so you have to sharpen your other skills. Like say you have to sharpen your skills of writing. You have to have the sort of brevity when you're writing. So or like when you're shooting, you have to be smart enough to shoot it very fast. So like you have to be a very strong team man. You should bring in a lot of people into your vision. So actors will not like actors in Malayalam might be working for longer hours than the people out there, who would come late to the set or something. So we cannot afford a lot of money. So that is a good challenge to have, I think. Like so, so that challenge, pushes other crafts of all these industries to, it really pushes us to bring out our best. So that is one strength, I guess. But that is common to all smaller industries.
Also, I think this stress on wokeness is sort of, I think it's sort of a little unhealthy to any industry, I think, because we are also producing, different types of content. Like last year, RDX, films like RDX, which were the films that did well, I forgot. But, RDX is a very commercial, very mainstream film. So, and then this year, we had a film like Aatam in the beginning, and then Premalu. So we are having a sort of an assortment of all, genres and things. So we are not like stressing on the wokeness, because I think even wokeness, if it is not organic, it will fall flat, I think. So I think I don't know where this idea of wokeness is come in Malayalam cinema, but that is
Because of we almost fetishize Malayalam at this point of
yeah.
because
Also,
of content.
Also, our industry is the highest grosser in the last quarter when it comes to super hits, and you can see that Malayalam industry, for a small industry like Malayalam, making 1,000 crores in a quarter is a huge thing. Okay, so but again, it's too early to comment on this trend, because this can change at any point in time, and the sensibilities of audience and what they want can change any point in time. So currently, the script that I had written last year is not good enough for the current trend. So this changes within a few weeks or within a few months, the kind of content that audience want, the sensibilities that audience want, that changes overnight. So it's too early to predict anything about the industry, the way industry is heading. Currently, there are a lot of production houses from the north who are willing to invest in Malayalam films, looking at the current trend. And people want mass entertainers, after this quarter.
Even that will be in Kerala style also. In our style, mass entertainers should be very localized also.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very true. So, but it is too early to comment anything on this, current trend. It can change at any moment. That's what I believe.
And one thing that I think that is unique to our industry is that the way our superstars function. Like, say, for example, any other industry, like you take Bollywood, you take Tamil or Telugu, usually what happens is that a new filmmaker will come, they will give like a super film, the first debutant film. The superstars will like kind of hijack them, bring into their world and create films that are like in accordance with their like stardom or what made them star. But here we have like two stars like who are making films that are in accordance with the vision of the filmmakers. Say, for example, Malaikote Valiban was a film that is not a Mohanlal film. It was at the end of the day Lijojo's Pellicherry film. Like Pramayugam and Kaathal, all these were like they had the director's signature over it completely than being a superstars movie. So is that also helping us in a way to like move forward compared to like the other industries?
I don't think that they would be accepted any other way also, these superstars. Mammootty and Mohanlal probably did the Rajinikanth way, or any other superstar way. I don't think they would be accepted also. I think it they have sort of set it that way, historical. I mean, the way, because they were actors first, then the stardom came, right? So I think we are sort of tuned that way when it comes to Mammootty and Mohammed. That's why we are able to accept a Brahmayugam or a Kaathal or a Nere or films like that. I think they have a different image from this. The idea of stardom is very different when it comes to Mammootty and Mohammed. I feel.
Like you, Anand just said, like what our strength and our limitation are both this budget itself, right? Like, is there anything else that is limiting us from like moving forward? Do you think, like, in your opinion, is Malayalam cinema facing like, is it
Oh
this?
yeah. So
Yeah. What is it? What is it? Yes.
like limiting us, like I think the biggest thing limiting us is the pretension of a society. Like, we still cannot handle so many subjects. We have to handle it in such indirect ways. Like, it's and our and I think, like, in terms of, especially with Kerala, or in while doing this form of cinema, I think the pressure of doing the right thing. You know, I have never understood how art is about right
Politically
and
correct.
wrong. You can, not just politically correct or anything. Yeah, like politically correct. That is one aspect. Like, how can you do the pressure of doing the right thing? So that is a huge thing. Like, you cannot do a right thing or a wrong thing. You can only express yourself. So the part of you that you are there, that will reflect in your form. So if you have to pretend something, if you have to already have an assimilation of what the end product should be and what is going to be received, and then shift yourself and modify yourself to fit into that, then you are doing disservice both to yourself, to the people, and you're pretending all the way. So that is one thing. I'm talking about a very psychological or a philosophical challenge, in terms of when you're right or when you're thinking. So there are so many other, like, budget is one thing, one big major concern, and also the need for stars in your movie. See, why that is a huge thing. See, once, if say B32, or say, like smaller movies like ours, like Aatam, or if say Great Indian Kitchen, if it was a theatrical release, and if that collected, say, 50 crores in Kerala, then I would say that there is some serious change in terms of audience, and like that everybody is like really out there and wanting to watch uh, content driven. I don't like the word content, but still,
Yeah.
some serious cinema, or cinema those that are not surely out there to entertain you. So in that case, I would say, but still, if you look at the movies that make a lot of money, see, I loved all those movies. Like, say, Premalu, I loved it.
Yeah.
Manjummel Boys, I loved it. But they're created with strong sense of entertainment, and it is,
Commercial elements.
yeah. So, I'm not saying commercial. But the focus is to entertain the audience, also engage, but and it's great filmmaking. It's not easy. It's really not easy to make those sort of films. But if you look into the movies that make a lot of money, you see a certain pattern, like the involvement of bigger stars. So then the involvement of bigger stars helps you to make your movie on bigger scales. So there is a pattern that you get to see. So that is one challenge.
But I think Premalu and Manjummel Boys didn't have that. They didn't have stars or anything.
Yeah, but that was those were like clear, sheer entertainers. Like, it was entertain, not in a bad way. Really, not in a bad way. Like, in a very good way. Like, superbly made. But yeah,
It's
you
not
can't.
about getting stars or having stars on board. It's about making the content a complete entertainer, like you said,
Yeah.
like Anand said. You will have to strike that formula. It's all about that. Like, when you look at Manjummel Boys, it's a survival thriller, and our audience are always keen about survival thrillers. The same thing happened with Aadu Jeevitham. Both are in two different scales. Okay, one has a superstar in it, and one has a bigger scale in it. The other one is a smaller one. Okay, in terms of stars, in terms of the scale and everything, but both are survivor thrillers, and they are entertaining. I mean, people love to watch survival thrillers, which are brilliantly made. So worked, I believe. Mm.
Like, say,
And
for example, like, sorry to interrupt. Like,
yeah,
there was an amazing movie called Family in Malayalam.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just
family.
one of the
Yeah,
one of the finest movies I've watched in recent times. But it is an absolute slow burner. So, like, or there's a movie called Tadavu, which is still
other work.
not has not made it to the theaters. But when Family made it to the theaters, it didn't even survive for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, it was very difficult. So, but just if you're just looking at the quality of the film, it's right up there. So when a family makes, say, I'm not even talking about 50 crores. When a movie like Family, if it makes, say, 10 crores, or even 5 to 6 crores in terms of net, then I would say that, oh, there is, like, we are, like, right, doing the right things, and we are, like, everyone is aligned, even the audience and the creators and the sensibilities are all aligned. So it is not the case. So I'm still against making Malayalam cinema very special.
You don't agree with this reverse conditioning, idea of
It
geochaining,
is.
right?
No, that is happening. I see a wave, but I don't think that it is restricted to Malayalam cinema. I think
Exactly.
it's a very global phenomenon. It's
Yeah,
slowly catching up everywhere. It's
yeah.
just catching up. Just catching up.
Slowly catching up. Yeah. And another thing is our audience, 95% of our audience are, serial, watching crowd. So for them to understand the content, you will have to simplify, the content. And again, this formula, you will have to strike the right formula. So serial watching audience, also the real watching audience, I would put it that way. So they are normal people. Okay. So I think when you're too content driven, or when you're, you know, stuck into a particular idea too much, it won't resonate well with their, psyche. So I think you'll have to strike the right formula, and you should also make it more entertaining. Then you will have, more audience for your film. I believe that. Okay. So yeah, I wish I could do a film like that, as an, a mass entertainer, other than B32 to 44, something that entertains a lot of people and something that drives people to the theaters. I wish I could do something like that. Unfortunately, my writing skills are not that sharp. I should admit that.
I think this, while I agree with with all the points you made, I think one aspect is this relatability aspect. I think probably something that sort of connects to the audience is what sort of, works at the box office, I think. Like probably you might not, I mean, just large to a larger audience. Like RDX didn't work for me, but I can understand why it worked for a larger audience, because it had that sort of family, that, the baby, the chain is, pulled away and everything. So I think that connection is there, some sort of a connection that kind of works with a larger audience.
And
Probably that
Neelima,
works. Mhm.
actually, RDX and Kaathal have the same writers.
Yeah. Right.
And they're
Yeah.
brilliant writers. I would say that, like, they can simultaneously work on something like RDX, as well as on, something like Kaathal.
Kaathal.
So, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and also I heard Kaathal Mammootty had its inputs also, because I think he also understands what sort of connects. Like some of the scenes, he was the one who suggested, is what Geo said. So I think it was like all those factors also helped.
Has Geo left the chat, or, like, is
Yeah,
he there?
He
Or,
had a
yeah,
flight to catch, basically.
right, no problem. Yeah.
One thing I want to ask you guys is, this is something that I came across on like a lot of social media platforms, and I'm not saying that I agree with this opinion, but is it like, what I want to know what your take is on this. Are our films becoming like, is there like less repeat value for our contemporary films? This is something that like a lot of people are talking on social media, especially Facebook groups and all. They're saying that current films, contemporary films, don't have the kind of repeat value that we used to, like the films, say made in like 80s or 90s used to have. What do you think about this? Just throwing it open, like you can say whatever.
I think we need
I
to wait
don't
for
agree
some
with that.
10, 20 years to, I think 10, 15 years to sort of figure out whether that recall value is there. I think that's what I think. But right now, I don't feel like rewatching most of the film. I mean, that recall value, I'm not seeing it, but I think we should wait for a little while to figure out whether we have that recall value.
No.
I don't believe in that, okay, completely, because, when you look at the films of Girish Eddy, they all have the same formula. And I think, Super Sharanya is a repetition or an extension of Tannir Matan Dinangal. And, when I look at Premalu again is an extension of, Super Sharanya. I can see a similarity. I can see a pattern in the films that have been made by Girish Eddy, and all of them are super hits. So there's nothing like, we don't believe in repeat value or anything like that. It's just that putting the same content or presenting the same content, tweaking it a little bit. As in, probably in Malayalam, we say this like, ഒരു കുപ്പിയിൽ നിന്ന് എടുത്തിട്ട് മാറ്റിയിട്ട് വേറെ കുപ്പിയിലിടുന്ന പരിപാടി. So I think it's something like that, as in tweaking the content a little bit, but following the same pattern. I mean, you can do that. I mean, there's no harm in repeating the content or um like losing the repeat value. There's nothing like that, I guess. So
like if whatever Anandu meant is, if it is about watching the same movie over and over and
Again
again,
and
like
again,
if it is about going back to the same movie,
Correct.
I think that is also because of abundance of content. Like there is so much content out there. Like, would you go back to a content or would you watch something new? Because there is Malayalam cinema, there is on all OTT platforms, there are like so many international films out there. So you might have a sweet spot for a few movies which you'll go back to in a certain mode, like how people go watch Friends or stuff like that. But otherwise, it is the same. It is so many factors coming. It is like it is not just with films. Like, does a particular good hotel has a repeat value? Because there are so many hotels out there. So the interval that you would go back to that particular hotel might be too long. But in earlier times, because there is this many films, like you might have a certain hard disk in you, and you'll have to go back to the same film over and over again. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of the film is of any lesser by any means. It is because of the abundance of the content that is out there.
also the attention span of the people is really small compared to how it was back in 90s or 80s. So people don't, I mean, they want to switch. I mean, I'm looking at myself and my sons, how they watch certain content. I mean, they get bored easily. So it is also there, I believe. It's not just with the films, it's with the music also. Okay, when you're talking about that sort of a repeat value, I'm sorry, I've mistaken it for something else. But if you're talking about that, sort of a repeat value, that's not just with the films. It's with all the content, including music. Their attention span is small, and also whatever Anand said, like the abundance of content, that also affects it. Yeah.
And what is, like you mentioned, the family, Don Paratharas. What is that one recent film that you guys would show to the Malayalam film that you would show to the world, saying that, okay, this has our essence and the authenticness, and is just like, yes, this is the one I will pick from recent times, and you watch it and then you will understand what we are about. Recent one, I'm not talking about the old ones. So take your time.
About what we are about, like essentially one
It's
film
a
that
very
would.
unique Malayalam film. I will start. I will say, I will say Aatam and Kaathal, not because you or Jeo Baby was here. Like, I would say these two films because they had like that innate Malayaliness also in them, while at the same time, like they were like really good in terms of like like writing, making, and everything. So this is the perfect Malayalam film for you to start. Say for a global audience or for anyone you would like to, like, say a title or a few, whatever you feel. That is ours. Yes, this is a proper Malayalam film that did not follow any of these like the trends or the pan-Indian formula, quote unquote.
I would say Tadava by Fazil Razak. That was a brilliant film, and it had the texture of, I think, Asghar Farhadi's films, Iranian films, and films like that. I've never seen such a pattern in the past, and they made it with a very limited budget, and they produced it on their own, uh, and they've made it brilliantly with limited resources, and there are no stars, no
Yeah.
stars, zero stars. Okay, so that was a brilliant approach, and anyone can watch that film. Okay, it's not like what do you call an art house production that can be watched by only a few audience, or slow killer or anything like that. It can be watched by anyone. So I would say it is Tadavar.
Yes, Nilima, go on.
I would pick Brahmayugam. And I think that would be my pick to show uh, to a non-Malayali. The recent ones. There are quite a few right now. I can think of Brahmayugam.
Like when you say recent, how recent do you want?
You can. It's like I'm not talking about the 80s and 90s. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
a long list actually.
Yeah, there will be a lot.
This is like
Talking
this. So
mostly about like the post-COVID, let's
Even
say.
yeah,
post
The first name
COVID.
that comes like on top of
post-COVID after 2020.
Suddenly I'm in a spot because there are like so many movies. I'm like wondering, what my worry is, like
Yeah.
how to contain all the aspects of Kerala and Malayalam into one. Like, see, personally, I would love to see more films like Manjummel Boys. I'm not talking about the story of like there is a certain honesty because I know the crew or like how it was made and stuff like that. There's the honesty with which it was made. It is also very and the kind of success that it got. It is very um, like it's not driven by a lot of stars.
Yeah.
So see when the medium is coming back to the filmmaker or then it becomes very hopeful. Like even say Premalu, it's not a star driven film, but I know like all filmmakers will agree that it's very difficult to make these kind of films. It is so difficult to make it like work in every 10 minutes, and because the kind of expectations that people come with, like it is not easy to make 200 crores, 100 crores per se. So you should also think of why it is clicking so much. So it is very difficult. So the writing has to be sharp, the acting has to be sharp, the technical aspects, the cinematography, the edit. It's so many things coming together, and it is not like totally mindless either. So it's like Manjummel Boys is this. See, there it is evoking serious emotions, and like how Neelima said, Brahma Yoga. It's an amazing film. Like in terms like how they pulled it off, the kind of convictions. So basically, all films that are headed by filmmakers. I would say like all films post-COVID, pre-COVID, whatever it is, like all the films that are like known by filmmakers, like all movies of Dilish Potin, I would recommend to all the people out there. So say Lijo, like the gut, the I mean, I can only aspire to become like Lijo Jusfalishi because the kind of guts they have.
Right?
Nanbagal Nerto Mayakam.
Brilliant.
What a brilliant film.
Yeah.
Like I watched it thrice in theaters. Like you have to have that kind of guts to make something like Nanbagal, which is followed up, which the previous film was Churli, I guess.
Yeah.
You see the contrast of content, and like every actor wants to work with Lijo. Like then he made Malay Kote or all his films. So I would definitely show films of Lijo per se. Like, yeah.
You, Shruti and Anand. So earlier there used to be this kind of a categorization that okay, these are like art house filmmakers and these are mainstream. Then we are like slowly turning into like it's the line is slowly blurring with like especially with the after Kaathal and all became a big hit. But for you guys, is there a kind of a pressure that the mainstream filmmakers, the ones who make like big budget, like spectacles, face, where like they have to constantly like do better than their previous film? So is there a kind of that kind of pressure on you to continue making the kind of films that you have already made?
Of course, yes. The thing is, I've been reading, scripts like every day. Okay, I'm getting scripts from various writers, including some big shot writers. But all the films that come to me, all the scripts that come to me, they're all women-oriented subjects. And that I really would like to make films on men. Come on. It's not that I can make films only on women. Why do they send it to me always? So, people have this expectation of me making, women oriented content always, I think, which I really would like to break. Because I really would like to do films like Minnal Murali. And I had, mentioned this earlier in one of those earlier interviews also. Like, I really would love to do such films like, superhero films and, films like Premalu, which I cannot write. I mean, I need the help and assistance of a writer with me because, I'm not that good at making, what do you call comedy content. But I really would like to work on films like that. But, people give you that sort of a pressure. Like once you are branded or, tagged as a, what do you call, women oriented filmmaker, political filmmaker, uh, like, when you try to step out of that, tag, people question you. So, I mean, there's nothing like political correctness. I believe in doesn't that always haunts you. The term political correctness or whatever. Like, I believe in not making any regressive content. Okay, your content, whatever you're trying to say, it shouldn't be regressive.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to be outrightly political about whatever you're saying, like whatever you're making. It's just that it shouldn't be regressive. I believe in that.
Anand?
Yeah. So yeah. There is. See, it all depends on yourself. If you're thinking about yourself through the eyes of, if you're looking at yourself from the eyes of other people, then there is always pressure. Like if I really take all the accolades that Aatam got, if I take it very seriously, then I'm doomed. If I take all the opinions, I of course I respect the opinions of the critics, and if I I'm grateful for all the critical reception that it got. But if I really start thinking like, oh my God, when I'm writing my next, okay, this is going to be like, bashed by the critics. Oh, this is definitely not going to be, something that is going to be expected from my part. Like not just the critics, the audience or anything of that sort. So I preserve my ability to go wrong and go. I want my ability to fail. That is my. I think I preserve it with a lot of with a lot of force. So as long as it is there, I think there is no pressure. So I really don't mind failing, and I really don't mind people, bashing me and like saying that, oh, this bugger was the one who did Aatam. So now he has just revealed himself or anything of that sort. I would love to have it. So there is no pressure per se on me. I know. I don't feel any pressure.
Premalpur, do we have like any? Otherwise, I'll ask the final question and wind up.
I think we're pretty much you can absolutely go with the last question.
So my last question is very simple, and this interview will only come out after Vishu, so you don't have to include the title Vishu titles. Which is that one Malayalam film that you are eagerly waiting to watch in a theater or a OTT or wherever? One Malayalam. One. This is just one.
You can mention only Malayalam films, right?
Yeah. The upcoming one that you are like very much anticipating.
Okay, this is going to get released after Vishu, right?
Vishu, yeah. So not Aavesham, Varsham ke Shesham.
Yeah.
Oh, not that. Okay.
Yeah, after Vishu. I know this. Yeah.
You should give a list of what are the movies that are coming also.
Yeah, exactly.
Suddenly, what was?
Give us a list. Give us 5 films.
Yeah, you have a list.
Go ahead then. Fine.
No. Do you have a list of the films that are coming out?
I have a list of the films.
Do you have a list of the?
I don't.
I would say, there's this film which is made by which is in production currently by Laljo sir. Ponam. Okay. It is titled Ponam. It's written by Prashant. He has won several awards for debut novelist and things like that. So I personally love that book. Okay. I read the novel and I loved it. So I'm just waiting for that to get released. This is the only thing currently that I can remember.
I am waiting for Vilayat Buddha because I want to see like how they have turned the work into a film. Like it's a
Yeah,
very funny, it's a very like hilarious
funny thing. Yeah,
how they have turned it into a movie, a film adaptation. How that is going to be.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm. If just like that, for this, something that immediately comes to my mind is I've just heard that. Yeah, how can I forget his name? Like the director of Saudi Velaka,
Tarun Murthy.
Totally.
like
Yeah,
Tarun Murthy is currently doing a film with Mohanlal.
Mohanlal, yeah.
I'm very, very,
yeah,
very, very. This is a very good filmmaker and he has a strong
yeah.
sensibility of his own. Like I'm very interested to know what he's going to do with Mohanlal being such an amazing actor. So yeah, that
Yeah,
movie is.
I'm just looking forward to all the films. So I can't think of a particular one. Just so many of them. So yeah. Won't
And
take
taking
one.
off from Anandu's question, now, if you could tell us which filmmaker from Pan India, doesn't necessarily have to be Bollywood filmmaker or films, are you guys really excited about, or are you guys been observing keenly? Each one of you
Any filmmaker
from Pan India, like not necessarily
Across
not
India, like
who's
continue.
working
Across India.
Yeah.
across India, yeah,
across India.
yeah.
Would you like to go first, Anand?
Yeah. No. Like it's very difficult. No, like immediately to gather which is that one filmmaker that you're. Ooh, hmm. Like recently, I watched a movie called Saptasagaradicho
Ah,
in
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
like
Kannada
in
film, yeah,
Kannada.
yeah, yeah.
I
Kannada.
loved it. Like I like watched both parts like
Yeah, A and
Back to
B.
back.
in one sitting. In one sitting.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm interested in his next, and also I'm interested in the next of that particular actress as well. Like I think she's a phenomenally good actress.
Yes, yeah.
I forgot her name, but yeah,
Rukmini
the
Vasan.
Rukmini Vasant. Yeah.
I would like to say Sriram Raghavan. I've been a huge fan of Sriram Raghavan. So, I watched his Merry Christmas recently. Just like Andhadhun, I loved it. There might be disagreements, but I loved it. I love the way he treats his,
You
characters.
have
Uh,
you have all my agreements with you.
yeah,
It's just amazing.
I mean,
Amazing.
they're like, the settings will be very small and everything will be really small, but he kind of gives it a larger than life picture. Always he does that. Even with Andhadhun, the same thing happened. So I'm looking forward to watch his next film, whatever it is, like Sriram Raghavan.
Okay, I'll just go with Rajamouli. I'm just interested to see what he's doing next.
Raju Hirani.
No, Rajamouli.
Rajamouli.
Yes, it's Rajamouli.
Rajamouli, I'm sorry, Rajamouli, sorry.
Yeah.
And Anandu,
Yeah.
There are like a lot of people. I think like the panelists are like supposed to answer these questions, but I'm sure that Geo Jordan said he's gonna change like genre and he's gonna do something that he hasn't done till now. So yes, Geo Baby.
Sure.
I want to see how Geo Baby is gonna make like want to see the kind of musical or a comedy or an action film that Geo Baby makes.
was it his that film a comedy, like the one after
Yeah.
some
Some
catering,
kids
Shrivdhani?
catering.
Uh-huh.
The Sridhar
Sridhanya
catering.
Catering.
Yeah, they're not kidding. Yeah.
Complete.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining this panel discussion. I walked into this discussion as a fanboy thinking that, Malayalam film cinema is like, beyond any kind of petty problems that the other film industries face. But of course, I've been chastised and I will not fetishize it. And it seems there are as many setbacks and problems and challenges that other film industries have, that Malayalam cinema is faced with too. But yet, that doesn't take away from the fact that, there is strong, nice content coming from different parts of India, not just Malayalam cinema. It so happens that there have been a spate of really good films that have released in the last few months. Thank you for joining us.
Before that, I want to ask what Anand and Shruti next film. What are you doing next?
Oh yes, yeah,
Before
yeah,
winding up.
yeah.
Shruti, go ahead.
Yeah. Like I've been working on a couple of, scripts. It's not just one script that I've been working on, a couple of scripts. But again, I have difficulties in getting the right actor on board and, the right production on board. So I'm just waiting for that to happen. So it's too early to say anything.
Anand?
Yeah.
Mine is a love story. So
Oh, wow.
I'm working on
Okay.
a love story. So I want to explore what this whole love thing is. So,
Lovely.
that's a love story. Yeah.
That is something to look forward to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So on that hopeful note, and we're really looking forward to all your films. Thank you for joining Indian Express. Our viewers, thank you for being part of this really interesting panel discussion. Jeo Baby has
Thank you.
had to disconnect because he had a flight to catch. Thank you all of you. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Neelima. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you, Anandu, for shepherding this conversation. Keep on watching Indian Express. Subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Right.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank
talking
you.
to all of you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Same here.
Yeah. Same here. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, this was lovely. And great fans of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful, wonderful. Bye.